welcome back. Welcome to an edition of Movers and Shakers Unlimited, social distancing style. I'm happy to have a special guest with me today. I have Renae Jacobs, the one and only April O'Neil from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the voice of April O'Neil. Renae, how you doing?
I'm kidding. We tried this earlier.
Inside joke, yeah.
Yeah, we were trying to do a live one, and you couldn't hear me, I couldn't hear you, but we're good now. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
So first and foremost, can you? I know originally the whole purpose of having a chance to speak with you is in lieu of what we're seeing with a lot of cons. A lot of cons are actually either postponing or canceling, and I know that you were planning or you were scheduled to go to Connecticon, but I know that has actually since canceled. But still, in keeping in mind of the event itself and being asked to be a guest there, can you talk a bit about what drew you to that con? Because I know I'm sure you go to a bunch of cons over the course of the year.
I do. Well, first of all, I know that Connecticut's a beautiful state, and I've never been there. And it's nice to be invited. So when somebody invites you, you try to accept. I was really excited, and I'm so disappointed, and I know all the fans are disappointed. I just heard that Fanboy in Orlando now is officially postponed. We are going to do it in 2021 in August. We all have to be safe, and we all have to be smart. And when we do Comic-Cons, we love interacting with our fans and giving people hugs and being able to take a photograph with you, and I don't know what the Comic-Cons are going to look like in the future. Hopefully this virus will die down and be gone. But we'll just have to see what happens. I've never gotten sick after being at a Comic-Con. So, this is all new territory. But I know that we're going to reschedule Connecticon, and I'm going to be there. I promise.
Excellent, you guys. There you guys heard it here. Shifting gears a bit and talking about your career in voice acting. Oftentimes, when thinking about a career, you may have one plan in mind, and for whatever reason, over the course of what happens in your life, you may take a fork in the road and go elsewhere. So. Was voice acting always a career path that you saw for yourself, or was it something that just based on how things happen, you happened upon?
That's a great question. In fact, nobody's ever asked me that before. When I was probably about 6 years old, my parents took me to see a musical called Most Happy Fellow. And I fell in love with the theater. So I knew I was going to be doing Broadway. That was where I was going to go. But interestingly enough, right around that time, my mom discovered me in the basement of our house doing voices. I had been listening to all the Disney records and musicals, and I was able to mimic all of the voices. So at some point, I would turn off the records and lined up my stuffed animals on a couch and would perform every voice in the entire recording. So my mom was wondering who was down in the basement with me, and of course it was just me, and signed me up for a course with a woman who was kind of a precursor to Romper Room. And she had a channel. I grew up in Lansing, Michigan, go Spartans, and she was teaching children how to make puppets out of stuffed animals and create voices. And after I took her course, she turned to my mom and said, she's really talented. I'd like her to come on the show. So I was actually starting in voiceover work when I was about 7 years old, professionally. But, who would think that that's what your career would end up? So pursued musical comedy and opera. I have a 3.5 octave voice range, which helps me with all the voices. and worked in New York and all over the world in theater. And when I came back to Los Angeles, I was in a show, and this agent discovered me in this show. And when I went to meet with him, he said, well, okay, I know you're going to want to do on camera, and you're going to want to do TV, and you're going to want to do movies. But do you do any voices? Because we have a brand new voiceover department. I said, as a matter of fact, I do. And so I did some of the voices for him, and he went, hey, you're in. And did a demo tape, and pretty much started working right away in voiceover. Did a few, I had a television show. I don't know if you know a show called Masters of the Maze, which was an on-camera kind of video game. It was pre all these video games. But pretty much my career went into the voiceover branch. And I always say life's a journey, and you may think you're on this road and you're walking down the road and nothing's going to stop you. And the next thing you know, you run into a brick wall, but there's a road over here. So maybe that's an interesting road. You just have to be joyful in life and appreciate and keep your eyes open. And, they say luck is preparation meeting opportunity. So you have to be prepared for what happens and be courageous enough to let go of maybe something that you thought you were going to do and go in that other direction. So that's how I got into, as an adult, voiceover work, being pretty much the majority of my career.
Awesome. Well, in lieu of being working in voice work, in speaking with contemporaries of yours that have seen a lot of success in that field, I always am fascinated by what that process is. I know for you yourself, you were just now saying that singing helped provide the range of voices for you, but still in potentially doing a particular character. I know for each of your contemporaries, that process may be different. I know for some, it may be helpful for them to be given a look at the character first, so that way they can get a feel of perhaps what a good voice for that character and looking at them would look like, and match what they're seeing when they see that character for the first time. And then for others, perhaps just a description and the picture is not really necessary for them, and maybe like the description of it is just enough, like a character synopsis is just enough for them to put together a voice. So for you, what approach would you say that you fall closer in line to?
Well, the more information that they give you about the character, the better you're going to be able to create something that fits that personality or what that creature is. So you hope that they give you a photograph, or they give you an animated piece to look at, a line drawing at the very least. You hope they give you some background. You hope you know where they came from, where they're going, what they're doing, what the relationships to the other characters are. That's not always the case. So obviously having a lot of information helps, but when you have minor amount of just a few lines and the director doesn't seem to be giving you much, you really have to come prepared. I have a lot of people contact me about, I am this voice and I'm gonna do voiceover and I want to know how do I get in, because everybody tells me that my voice is so fabulous, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a good voice, but do you have any others? No, why do I need any others? Because I can do that voice. And when you have a great voice, that's fantastic, but that's not going to get you very far. So I talk to people about, for me, I envision a deck of playing cards. And on each card, I try to fill up that card with an idea of who that character would be. It could be, and each card kind of makes up a hand, just like you're going to play poker or gin. You're going to have different dialects. You're going to have different ages. You're going to have, different regions of the country or the world. And you're going to build your deck of playing cards. So when you come to an audition, you take that deck out, imaginary, and you look at whatever they've given you and say, oh, I can do Susie and Billy, and I can add Rufus, who's the dog. You have to come up with human characters and animal characters, imaginary characters, and practice them so that and you can even write their names on like 3x5 cards and pull out 3 and combine them, and you do and record. The amazing thing now is you've got these simple technologies, and we all have telephones. We had to go into recording booths early on. Oh, I know, that was in the days when we rode horses and we had bunny rips. No. But, honestly, it's so easy to practice voices and come up with, and you can keep them, you can record them. So your deck of cards can actually be recorded in your phone and be ready with them. So the more you can get, the more they give you. Oh, please, the more they give you, the better. But if not, then you have to be the director. You have to be the creative force.
Gotcha. And to speak more specifically to that, just that character of April O'Neil and her occupation, in addition to what you were explaining in terms of your approach, was there any inspiration taken from perhaps reporters that and observe, or did you perhaps go to a news station and observe reporters, or what was that specifically, considering that character's occupation? What did it entail?
Absolutely. Well, you see a lot more female reporters on TV now than you did then, but there were. And so most of the characters that I had been doing up until April O'Neil were creatures. They were glow friends, they were moon dreamers, they were dogs and cats, and April was the first human that I voiced, and that was kind of cool. So they gave me they showed me April, what she looked like in her yellow jumpsuit. She had a camcorder in one hand and a turtle com in the other, and they said she's about your age, maybe a little younger, and she's a reporter. That's what they gave me. So basically, I played myself. I gave the tone that I had heard when reporters were on TV reporting the news, and kind of walked into April's shoes like it was me. Because I'm a professional actor and I'm a professional, I can be a reporter. That was not an issue. And they just tried different pitches and tones and speeds with me. Interestingly enough, this is that luck meeting preparation, opportunity and preparation, all that. The director was a fellow who, on a social level, he was very nice. On a directing level, he was very difficult, Stu Rosen. And he was a personal friend, but when he got in the booth, he could be a little difficult. So after the first session, actually, we rehearsed it. We used to sit together with our scripts and rehearse, and then we would record. Nowadays, a lot of it, especially under COVID, it's being done from your home and your own personal studio, and then they edit it together. And it really, the ability to sit together really, I think, was one of the jewels of Ninja Turtles, because the guys were able to play off each other. We were friends. And and many of the lines, I know I'm going in a different direction here, but many of the lines that are in the shows were ad libs by the guys. And if we didn't have that ability, I don't know that the show would have continued for all these years like it did. Because my guys, Harry Gordon, Cam Clark, Townsend Coleman, Rob Paulson, they're the turtles. They're the guys that created those characters. They lifted them off the page and they made them relatable. And so for me in a studio, and again, I'm not on topic of how I came up with April O'Neil, but having your cast around you and reading it and playing off each other and trying it different ways is really, it's an art, you know. Voiceover, it's the voice that lifts that character off that two-dimensional television or comic book. And I miss that a lot about recording. But okay, getting back to April. So Stu said to me, in between the first rehearsal and the first recording, he said, well, the producers didn't really, I didn't think you were very good. And I didn't even present your voice to them. But I played all the 150 other auditions. And they said, no. And then I said, well, I have one more. And I don't think it's her, but I'll play it for you. And he said, and I played it. And they said, that's April. So anyway, that's an interesting little story that I have.
Gotcha. Well, you're actually a mind reader, I feel, because that's actually my next question was actually considering how long the turtles have been around and they're still around. What you perceived were those reasons that they've been able to have that longevity. I've talked with Kevin Eastman about it, co-creator of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on occasion, and he has his thoughts on it. But outside of what you were talking about with that versatility with the ensemble, are there any other elements that you feel has played to that?
That's a great question. And one of the wonderful things that's come out of doing Comic-Cons is for us to hear from the fans, what was it? What is it? What is it now and continues to have made this last as long? Originally there weren't any Comic-Cons. We recorded in a booth. We had to secretly record, because if anybody would have found out where we were, we would have had a lot of people show up. It was dangerous. It was interesting. It was dangerous. We had kids taking the manhole covers off of their streets looking for the turtles. So we had to do public service announcements telling them, we're not there. Don't do that. So having the opportunity now, these many years later, to meet our fans, I'll tell you what I think the longevity is. The turtles were mutants, and every one of us feels like a mutant inside. So, in talking to Rob Paulson, we always, you think, oh, he's so confident. He's got it all together. He had it all together back then. No, he was insecure. We're all insecure. We're all worried about being replaced. So the fans will tell us, when I was growing up, I was teased, I was bullied. But I always knew that I could rely on the turtles, that they were different too, and that they had friends, and they were honorable. And had it not been for the Ninja Turtles, I don't know if I'd be alive today. I don't know if I would have become a pilot in the Air Force, a woman pilot, female pilot, had it not been for April O'Neil showing me that I didn't have to get married at a young age and have children. Not that that's a bad thing, but that it inspired them to think beyond what they were being expected And it's taken us a lot of years to come to this realization. So it gives me chills just to talk about it. And it makes me so proud that these goofy cartoon characters had such a profound experience. And now people who grew up with turtles are sharing it with their children. And they're showing them the old, the classic Ninja Turtles. There's so many life lessons that are taught in that, and camaraderie and being a hero and being a friend and standing for justice and doing the right thing, and um, and not to be worried that people are picking on you. You'll get over it. You'll survive. You'll get through it. And that we're all feeling goofy and mutated and insecure, no matter how beautiful somebody is or how tall they are, how athletic they are. Inside, there's a little voice saying, nobody knows, but I'm really not feeling very confident, but I have to put on a show. So I think that maybe is the reason that turtles have lasted so long, and I hope will continue.
Absolutely. So with all that in mind, all that said, you were talking about it, commented on it a little earlier, and I mean, I even brought it up when we started, is doing this interview social distancing style, considering what our current landscape is now. I know in the industry, in the entertainment industry, for some, it's business as usual. Nothing is really affected in any type of way. For others, it's a drastic life change in terms of what their normal routine is. And speaking with friends who are actors, those that are directors that aren't able to go on their sets currently, or still in the process of doing that. How has that looked in the world of voice acting? Is it safe to assume that it is the former, that is business as usual, seeing that you still can do, still work without necessarily being in the same space at the same time?
Right. Well, thank God for Zoom and other platforms that allow us to continue doing voiceover, because you don't have to worry about what you're wearing or how you're looking. So many actors in the voiceover area have, if they didn't have a booth, they have it now. Townsend Coleman's been reaching out and helping people, what equipment to buy, how to set it up. He's really a techie. He's really great. People are starting to get back to work. So voiceover wise, we're very lucky. Sometimes you think, oh, I want to be on camera and I'll be a famous actor. And voiceover can be pretty good. In fact, hearkening back to yesteryear, my daughter was probably around 2 years old, and I had her in a stroller in a park, and I looked around and every kid had Ninja Turtle socks and shoes and hats and shorts and t-shirts, and I realized
April O'Neil was right there.
Yeah, right there. But if it had been my face, if it had been a live action and it had been that popular, I wouldn't have been able to go out in public.
Yeah.
So, lots to be thankful for. And I think some of the on-camera stuff is coming back. They're doing COVID testing. So you get tested and then you have to hunker down for 2 weeks. And they're doing that with the cast and the crew and everybody involved. So they're starting to find ways to come back to work. And this has been an extraordinary situation. Extraordinary.
That it has. Well, to cap it off there, Renae, thank you so much for coming on Movers and Shakers Unlimited. I really do appreciate it. Can you tell folks where they can find you?
Where can you find? Well, you used to be able to find me in Orlando, and you used to be able, but you can actually find me on Instagram. It's Renae, RENAE_L_Jacobs, JACOBS. On Facebook, Renae Jacobs, RENAE Jacobs. And I am very, very involved with raising money for scholarships for students, particularly at a university in Jerusalem. It's called the Hebrew University, where 25,000 students usually study together from 20 different countries, Jews, Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, and they're a Renaissance university, from everything from medicine to nanotechnology to archaeology and history. And so I am signing autographs. People can contact me on Instant Messenger. And if they make a donation to my charity, then I will send them an autograph picture. Education is something that no one can ever take away from you. So no matter what happens in life, it comes with you. And it not only affects you, but your children and your children's children. So I'm really very passionate about that. And it's what's going to get us all through this. So love to do that for you guys. And hopefully next year we'll be doing Comic-Cons. I know, like I said, Fanboy in August in Orlando. And I'm sure that Connecticon will reach out, and as well as all the other ones we were scheduled to go to. And I can't wait to give everybody a hug and tell them how much I love them. And I love you. You're wonderful. Thank you for having me as a guest.
Absolutely, Renae. So there you guys have it. Thanks again to Renae Jacobs for coming on the show today. You can find us on Facebook, of course, on Twitter at Move and Shake UNLTD, Instagram Movers Shakers Unlimited. You can find me, Brandon Troy ENT, on Twitter, as well as Instagram Brandon Troy _ENT. If you enjoyed this great conversation that we had, there are more to come. So for all of you guys out there watching, be safe. Thanks for watching. See you soon.
Bye-bye. Turtle power!
Cowabunga.
Cowabunga.